to believe in him. One more time, yo. He gives me strength to believe in.
When someone knocks on your door in a dream, it can mean a whole host of different things. It can mean someone wants access. It can mean somebody is at your boundaries emotionally, physically. It can mean that somebody is coming to meet you very, very soon. It can mean an opportunity is knocking at your door, the phraseology, no pun intended, but is intended, right? It can mean permission. It can mean a decision, invitation. It can mean a whole host of different things. And so today in this video, you're going to learn just some of the basic operations of what it means when you dream and you see someone at your door. All right. Now, before we do, make sure you guys liking, you're sharing, you're subscribing, you're clicking on that wonderful bell button for the notifications of the uploads. The key question we have to ask ourselves today is who knocked? Why are they knocking? And how did you feel when they were knocking? Did you allow them in? Did they have to wait outside? How did you feel about them being at the door? Was it an old friend? Was it an ex? There is a whole bunch of questions one must ask when somebody is at the foot of the door. And so we have to break down really and truly what that means when you see these people in your dream. Not everybody that knocks on your door has good and how should I say, kind intentions when they're knocking. Sometimes the enemy will knock on your door to have access back into your life. Sometimes it's an ex. Sometimes it's a friend. Sometimes it's a potential romantic partner. Sometimes it's nobody that you actually know at the foot of your door. And sometimes it's literal, and sometimes it's prophetic, and sometimes it's metaphorical. But either way, we have to decipher what that means. So let's talk about some of the most basic ones, because the common meanings of a dream of someone knocking at your door, number one, is a person wants access. Okay. The dream shows that someone is trying to re-enter into your emotional world. I had a dream a couple of weeks ago that I was sitting at my desk as I'm looking at you right now, and somebody came and knocked on my door. And as they knocked on my door, they came in, they didn't even ask, right? And I was like, whoa, what are you doing? Hold on a minute. Can you, whoa. And I knew instantly that whoever had met that week, there were some things I was thinking about. Some people were intruding in my emotional world. They were telling me what to do, and I did not like the fact they were telling me to do. And that instantly let me know these people are trying to push a boundary. So sometimes people want access to you, okay, which is actually your emotional world. Number two, which is actually what I just spoke about, is that some people want to break your boundaries. But sometimes God is highlighting that you need to have boundaries. In that dream that I had, the person just entered the door. They didn't knock. I saw them through the window first, which means I saw them. I had vision. There was opportunity. Window can also mean a window of opportunity, right? It can mean different things. But I saw them. And as they came in, they just opened the door. And I was like, whoa, what are you doing? Because naturally, that is what you would do. You are offended at them breaking what? Through the door, coming through the boundaries. So the Lord is trying to tell us that maybe somebody is trying to have access to your boundaries, good or bad here, in that particular aspect. Number three can be an opportunity is approaching. There is there's an opportunity knocking at your door, as we might say, right? Something's knocking at your door. And this can represent an assignment. It can represent a ministry. It can represent transition. It can represent a relationship. It can represent so many things. I've had several dreams of siblings or friends coming to knock on my door, right? And what's saying is that there's a window of opportunity that's about to happen between me and a sibling. Something's going to happen that I need to engage with, or something's going to come to my doorstep. That's the phraseology we say in English, right? Remember, dreams often work with the cultural understanding that we have of certain words. Not everything's exactly the same for everybody because there is a cultural nuance. God speaks in the language of the cultural nuance, of the cultural aspects of people and where they grew up and what they understand. Of course, because it's language, and language is determined by what culture you're coming from and what you understand. No point in him speaking the English if you're from a different culture, right? So the definition here of a knock at a door, right? It can be very rude if somebody comes to knock on your door in England without calling you, right? Whereas in Ghana, People knock on everybody's door all the time, and that's them. That is us now introducing ourselves. So different culture. So if you saw that in a dream and you're more culture aligned to your Ghanaian roots, you might see it as a positive thing, right? But I might see it as a wait, why are they coming to my door without even calling me? Do you know what I'm saying to you? So you have to remember when you're interpreting your dreams that the culture also plays a role in the way that you interpret information. Number 4, it can also mean that old patterns are returning, right? Old patterns are knocking at your door. Sin is crouching, knocking at your door. We see this with in the Bible with Cain and Abel. And so a person knocking may symbolize something familiar trying to come back and trying to have access. I remember another dream, and I have a lot of dreams, but I dream every day, and I write them down. And I remember I had a dream, and I was in Ghana, but I was in a different place of Ghana. And the person was I hadn't spoken to him in a while, and they were coming to my door, and I was trying to shut the door, but they were coming to the door and trying to have access. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, I'm physically trying to close that door. And I realized I was trying to shut the door on the old ways of doing things and the old patterns with that person. And actually in real life, the person came back and I spoke to them. I said, listen, hey, can I be honest with you? Yeah, for me, boundaries. I'm not with this anymore. Yeah. Number 5, it can, number 5 can be also a spiritual warning. A knock at the door can expose temptation. It can expose intrusion. It can expose a spirit or the enemy trying to seek some entry and gain. And if you open that door, then you've opened the door to, do you see what's happening here? Right? You've opened the door to temptation. You've opened the door to the enemy seeking access. You've opened the door to intrusion. You've opened the door to something, right? That's what we mean by that. Again, it's another phraseology playing a role here. And so sometimes when you get a dream like that, you have to recognize, oh, this is an opportunity to pray, right? And in fact, I probably should have said that about other dreams, right? And I'll say that, I'll go backwards and say of it. The spiritual warning here is you're supposed to start praying and being watchful. Pray and watch. Why? Because something is trying to get at you in real life. And the dream world is a spiritual world telling you about what is manifesting in the physical realm. So maybe it hasn't happened yet, or maybe it is happening right now. We don't know, but we have to start paying attention to the clues. For instance, old patterns returning. It's highlighting that to you so that you can start being aware about what you choose to do. Your next steps of actions. An opportunity is approaching. It can also be an aspect of you being alert. Stay alert because something's coming to your door. So be posted up, be ready with open hands, be ready to grasp it if it's needed to, right? If it's boundaries, let's say make sure that we reinforce the door. I remember one dream I had a dream where this is like last year. I was in my living room here and I was looking at the door, and the door was an old tattered door. It was brown, and then there was like a crack at the bottom, and there's a gap at the draft was coming through, and I was looking at this door like, what's going on? Why have I got this kind of door? Like, and the more I say it now, the more obviously I get it now, but at the time I didn't understand it. That door, number one, it's not what my door looks like. That's the first sign. That door does not look like what my door looks like. Right? So if it doesn't look like your door now, that's the first sign. God is highlighting to you. Something's off here, right? Doesn't look like my door. The door was tattered and broken. What's it saying? The boundaries I have and the living room also means your what's living right now, right? Currently happening, right? It's currently happening in your life right now. So I saw the door and I'm like, okay, that means something right now, currently, I don't have good boundaries. And because of that, anything can get in. The draft is getting in, the wind is getting in, the outside weather's getting in. What's the point of even having the door? There's no point even having boundaries if it's gonna allow things to creep in. And that was the whole point. I needed to replace the door. I needed to replace my boundaries. Okay, all right. So these are things as well, right? So if something wants access, don't let it get access as well. And honestly, it just means a call to discernment as well. All right. Sometimes God is showing you something because he wants to teach you how to discern what's really happening in that space. Okay. So some key questions to ask when interpreting a door knocking dream, so that you can really understand what's going on. Okay. So the main focus of the dream, the person when you're having a dream, you're focusing on the main person of the dream, which is oftentimes you. Right? Because if you're not in it, right, this dream doesn't go on. So you're more than likely the main focus, and then the sub-focus can end up being the door, the person, the thing, the knock, the reaction, the emotion, all that kind of stuff, right? So the main focus is oftentimes you, right? Or, unless you're seeing through the eyes of somebody else, then it'll be someone else. So the main focus is you. And the sub-focus is the door, it's the knock, it's your emotions, it's the reaction, it's what happened after, right? And then you have to pay attention to the details. Was it a normal knock? Was there 3 knocks? Was it a loud bang? What was it? Because you've got to categorize that. For instance, a loud bang might be surprising to you that someone's coming to your door, which means I felt surprised, meaning that now whatever may be coming your way, it can be surprising you. So if it's something that wants access or something that wants to access your boundaries, you may be surprised by the way that this person behaves because they're trying to come at your boundaries. Do you see how that works? Right? I know. Take your time with this one. It's not easy. I took my time too. And then you have to ask yourself as well, did the dream end at them at the door, or did a dream end with them coming through the door? Right? And in my part 2, I will discuss a dream that I actually had, and we'll break it down so you can actually see how that looks and then see how you can interpret it as well, right? And in that dream, I had an old friend come to the door, and when they came to the door, they looked different, but I trusted them and I knew them, and I opened the door to them, and they came in and we sat down and we spoke, and he said, listen, get yourself ready in 3 days. I said, in 3 days, what's happening in 3 days? He said, get yourself ready in 3 days. In 3 days, the next 3 days, something actually happened. Someone came into my life, and I was like, what the hell? Right? Someone older come back into my life, and I was like, all right, God. But I didn't heed the warning, and that's a problem. So sometimes you have to recognize what's going on. Okay, did you give that person access? Did you stop them from coming in? Did you feel uncomfortable? Did you feel fear? Did you feel peace? Did you feel confusion? Did you feel anger? What did you feel letting that person in? Or how did you feel refusing that person to come in entry, right? These are also important things. And so I think this is really key to home into as well, right? Okay. Asking as well key questions about who this person is quintessential as well. Is this person an old friend? Are they an ex? Are they your mother, your father? And by the way, mothers and fathers can represent the father in heaven, and the mother can represent the Holy Spirit, right? Sisters can represent the sister in faith, brother in faith, as well as your actual siblings. Okay, so is a person a symbolic of a pattern, a memory, a temptation? What did that person represent to you? You know, when I was trying to, stay away from the sex, I was seeing all sorts of ladies that I was having things with in the past. And so I knew, okay, this person represents this. Sometimes, and the one that really threw me off, I saw a prostitute, and I was like, what does that mean? And it was prostituting your gift. I didn't get it for a long time. I was like, wait, what? Prostituting your gift. So sometimes you can, you know what I mean? Sometimes it's not about always just exactly that person. It's about what it's trying to say. And there's a metaphor, a story, there's an allegory, there's sometimes a deeper understanding of what God is trying to bring into what you're seeing in front of you, right? So asking yourself that question, who is this person to me? What do they mean to me? Okay, all right. So some other questions you might want to ask, and you can write these down, right? Whose door was it? Was it your current house, childhood house, church, workplace, unfamiliar place? Because that all makes a difference. Was the door open, closed, locked, broken, hidden? Was it glass? Was it wooden? Was it guarded? Let's say it was a glass door. My door right now is a plastic, glass. You can't see through it. It's solid, right? It's one of those very heavy duty doors, right? So if now I see my dream and the door is a light, fluffy door, it means that something about my boundaries is off. Why? Or something about me giving access to someone is off, because that's not how my door looks. Right? If the door is normal and exactly the door that I have in my life, it might not be about boundaries. It might simply be about something that's currently happening or something that's coming to my door right now. Yeah. And it's funny because the dream that we're going to do in part 2, now I've just had a thought process. In that dream, the house I was in was a completely new house, but I was doing YouTube work and stuff like that. And now why I was in a new house. I was in a new house because I was entering new territory. But the boundary, the door, the person that was coming to the door was familiar. Isn't that interesting? So the new location, I was comfortable. It was a new house. It was brand new. It looked beautiful. But the person coming to my door, I recognized them. I knew who they were. They were an old friend. And they said, get ready in 3 days. So whatever was going to happen, I was going to be in new territory. But the person coming would be a familiar foe. You see how it works? Okay, so you can ask a lot of these questions. If there was a focus area, maybe it was, did the dream focus on the key, the gate, the lock, the chain, the peephole? Whenever you see keys as well, keys can also represent things that you are gaining knowledge to, the key knowledge, right? You can represent that. It can also mean access. You're having now keys that allow you access to the next level or access to this place. That can also suggest some things as well. Okay, so those are some of the questions you asked in that space as well. Okay, so when you're having this dream, we've got to talk about just a couple of things, five real strong things that I want to be able to break down for you guys as well in this perspective, right? Okay, so number one, okay, like I said, the door represents access, right? Revelations 3 verse 20 says, "Behold, I stand at the door and I knock, and if any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in." A door represents access, and I want you to understand that, because when we're looking at a dream, you control the door. So just because you didn't feel like you had control in a dream, that was actually an indication of what's happened to you in real life. If you feel like you can't control who comes in your door, it's how you actually feel in the real life and how you're probably behaving in real life. Spiritually, maybe you can't actually control the boundaries, or even physically and emotionally, you can't control your boundaries, and the dream is showing you that, right? So when someone knocks on your door in a dream, you have to ask yourself, what part of your life are they trying to access? You know, is it the emotions? Is it your body? Is it your home? Is it your future? Is it your destiny? Is it your calling? Is it your ministry? Is it your peace? Is it power? Someone's trying to have access to you. Someone's trying to gain some access to you. And that's what you have to figure out. What is that? And that requires you to stay still and just kind of figure that out and just slow it down all the way. Okay. All right. So a knock at the door can mean access is being requested. The reason why someone knocks is because they're trying to make you aware. Right? They haven't entered your house. They haven't just barged in. They're seeking access. They're requesting. So if you find that someone at your door is like an old foe, an old friend, or it's old ways probably trying to come back at you, trying to request something from you to take you backwards potentially, right? So that's why they're knocking, because they have to ask first, and you have to agree. And that's where we touch and agree. And so then when that happens, when that happens, you pray, you get up, you pray, you say, Lord, listen, I'm aware now that something's trying to take me back. Lord, help me not to go back. That's all. Help me not to go backwards. Help me not to go the old way. The Bible says in Joshua that he says, I'm teaching you a new way to go. You know what I mean? Right? Okay. Number 2. As I said, the person who's knocking matters. So 1 John 4 verse 1 says, "Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are of God." I want you to know that just because someone knocks at the door and you wake up and like, do you know what? I've been waiting for that person to knock on the door. I have several friends in dreams that might knock on my door, or that might enter my dreams. And at first I used to think, oh man, it must mean that God wants us to reconcile. Yeah. That ain't it. A lot of times it's God saying that they represent something for you. Understand what they represent, what theme they're carrying, and then you'll figure out what I'm trying to say to you about that person. And a lot of times it tells you about also the time of you have to think about the time of your life when you met that person and what your thought process was. So sometimes I meet certain friends, I'm like, damn, that was like 20 years ago. Like, how did I think then? And I have to take my time and think. That's why prayer is important. That's why staying still is important. That's why taking your time is important, because it allows you to figure out what's really going on in that space, right? So who's knocking is very important for you, right? So if it's someone that you love, the dream might be testing your affection and your boundaries, right? I've had dreams where maybe I'm with someone that I like and they're with me in the house, and then other people are coming to knock on the door. This was a couple of years ago. I had couples coming to knock on the door. And I looked to the door and I would reject the couple coming, reject that couple coming. I wouldn't allow them in. And what was being shown to me was there are things that are trying to bring you to a place where they want you to start dating, coupling with people. But that's not what I've asked you to do. So keep that boundary. Don't open a door. Don't open a door to the ideas of you starting to date when I haven't asked you just yet. I was like, damn. Okay. That's fair. Okay. There are things that are trying to have access to you. There are women that are trying to have access to you, and for the ladies, it can be men, right? So if it's an ex, the dream may be revealing an unresolved attachment or return of an old pattern. So if you see an ex knocking at your door, you may be seeing that an old pattern is trying to have access to you. I've said this before. So you have to think about it. How was I like with that ex? What was my thought process like? How did I move? How did I behave? How did I maneuver in that time, in that season? Okay. If it's someone that hurt you, okay, the dream might be exposing the same pattern of that fear or that pain coming back through a similar situation or a new person. It could be that there is unfinished business that is with that person and it's coming back up at your door. Or it could be that someone is doing, if you see like maybe the ex, or sorry, an old person that maybe hurt you, but then also see someone brand new, it may be that the Lord is exposing that this person who's got the old person in your life and the new person who's coming into your life, they're acting the same. So if you see like, for instance, if you see like the face of the person can be this person's name, let's say Sally, but in your head, you know that's not Sally, that's Deborah, right? What that's trying to tell you is that there's a duality here, right? You know them to be as Deborah, but their behavior and how they actually appear in the spiritual realm is Sally. Hey, hey, you know when I'm actually deep in it. As I'm speaking about, I'm deep in my own dreams. I'm like, oh, whoa, that's what it means. Okay, so if it's a stranger, it may represent a new opportunity, an unknown territory, so an unknown opportunity. It could represent a spirit that one needs to discern. It could be an unfamiliar, unknown for you now influence, right? And you may need to test the spirit. If it's a family member, it may represent family systems, the way that your family does things, the pattern of behavior, family expectations, emotional history, or in to try and see if they can access your door. So if you see them, maybe you might see your uncle or whatever knocking at your door. You have to think, what does your uncle represent for you? What has he done? What has he experienced? How does he move? Maybe he's got a pattern that is something that you're either going to enter into, or that is trying to knock at your door to send you there as well, to send you back to that pattern. Pay attention to that, right? Okay. All right. So make sure you're trying to discern who's knocking at the door first before you interpret the dream as well fully. Okay. And number 3 is the sound of the knock is important. Okay. The sound of the knock is important. And I put the wrong scripture here, but because a better scripture would have been that the Bible says in, was it 1 Corinthians 13, where Paul says, I'd rather be in love than be a banging cymbal. I'd rather be able to say a few intelligent words than be a banging cymbal. Basically, the sound should be intelligible. We should be able to know what the sound is. Okay, all right. Otherwise, it's just noise. Okay, and so in that space, the sound of the knock is important. We must distinguish and be able to tell what is that sound. Okay. How does it appear? As I said earlier on, was it gentle or was it aggressive? If it was gentle, maybe someone's coming in subtly. Gentle doesn't mean it's good. It can mean that someone's coming in very subtly, right? If it's aggressive, it could be something's coming out very big, loud. You can't miss it almost. Okay, so a gentle knock may suggest someone can be subtle, and that could be a bad thing or a good thing. It could be a invitation, humility, patience. It can be someone respects your boundaries, right? But it can also mean, like I said, somebody who's got a snakish charm. You know what I mean? An aggressive knock may suggest pressure, urgency, intrusion, entitlement, spiritual warfare. So when you got to pay attention to these things, because especially when it comes to dating, people can come into your dreams and you'll see them knocking at your door with pressure like this. You know, when you feel that pressure, that the way they're knocking or the way that they're entertaining at your door, this can speak to you. Okay. All right. A repeated knock may suggest persistence, insistence, or someone that keeps trying to get your attention, good or bad here. So it could be the Lord trying to get a hold of you. Like, I'm waiting, I'm knocking at the door, let me in. Or it could be something that is trying to get access to you and is a very persistent spirit working to try and get you to finally cave in. All right. A silent knock or a faint knock may suggest uncertainty or subtle invitation or something that you're not fully aware of yet. Right. So I kind of said that a little bit wrong, but let's say someone has got there's no knock, but you knew the person was there. Right. That can be subtlety. That can be somebody, being very, shady. But it could also be that you've also come into awareness. You were alert and you're aware and you knew that something was at your boundaries. That can also mean that too, right? Just really depends. Okay. And so the other scripture that would be spoken about is Proverbs 25, verse 28. He that have no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken and without walls. You need to have a rule over your spirit and recognize that as well. Okay. Number 4, your response matters to this knock. Okay. Again, we've got to ask these questions. Did you open a door? Did you ignore it? Did you hide? Did you feel excited? Did you feel scared? Did you feel angry? Did you feel frustrated? Did you look through the peephole? Did you just know who it was? Did you ask who it is? Did you say, hey, who is it? Did you let them in too quickly? Did they, did you lock the door? Did you open it and then shut it? Like, what was your response is very important because it tells us about it. And then you translate it into real world behaviors. That's all. So if you were excited at getting to the door, whatever's coming, it's going to be exciting. Now, excitement doesn't always mean a good thing. You could be excited about a bad thing, but excitement here is good. It can often be a good thing, right? Did you feel scared opening that door? Did you ignore it? Because it means that you're ignoring something in real life that's coming close to your boundaries or your door, right? Did you open it and shut it? So did you have a peep at the thing and you wanted to push it away quickly because you weren't sure, right? Or you didn't like what it was, or you felt anxiety, right? So these responses are also important to guide you to understand what's going on, right? Pay attention to your emotions. Your emotions are just as important as what you see in a dream, okay? All right. So as we see here, Proverbs 4 verse 23, keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. How you're responding is key to let you know key information to let you know what's actually coming to your door at this point in time. Number 5, the location of the door matters. I kind of said this already earlier on. This may represent general access to your life, your home, your identity, or your public or private boundaries. The front door is often the main entry point. But what happens if someone comes to your back door, or someone's trying to come sneakily in the back door? Because why would somebody try to access your back door when they don't know you, like that? Or even if they do know you like that, they can't come through the back door because they are trying to get a hold of you. Why are they going for the back door? Which means somebody. And it can be a metaphor here. Going through the back door can mean, kind of going around things, right? Finding another way. That's why you're going through the back door, okay? So the front door is often the main entry point. So if someone knocks there, the dream may be asking whether the person should be allowed into your life again. So there can be a question on the aspect of this person having access to you at this time and this particular moment and season. Okay, I've had that, but I've also had people trying to come through the back door, and that's telling me that the person isn't going to come they're not asking for access, they're taking it, and they're going, if it doesn't matter whether I say yes or no, they're going to try and come through the back door. Okay, so let's talk about maybe if it was a bedroom door. A bedroom door could mean that this is more intimate. It may represent access to your private emotions, sexuality, rest, vulnerability, or a hidden life or hidden thoughts. Okay, so the knock on a bedroom is different from a knock on your living room door. If it is your kitchen door, this may represent access to your preparation, your process, nourishment, family life, or what's been worked on behind the scenes. So something's trying to have access to your preparational period of time, because kitchens represent preparation and process and nourishment. If it's your childhood home door, then something is trying to speak to your younger self and highlight that, right? I've been in dreams where I've seen myself in my old home, and maybe in that old home, people are trying to have access to the front door. Right. So this thing may be trying to highlight that something is accessing or trying to access an older version of me in order to bring that back up to here. It could be the fact that I may be trying to also access, I may be requesting this thing as well, right? In my dream, I may be focusing too much on that past endeavors, and I may be trying to tap in to see what was that old me like. And that might not be, that may be a positive, might be a negative. We don't know. Depends on what you're doing it for and the motivation. It could be a church door or your ministry door, and it could be because the person's trying to gain access to your ministry, your calling, your community, your accountability, your religious leaders, your actual church building, the congregation. They're trying to get some access. That can also be that as well. If it's your workplace door, same principle. Something's trying to get at you. Maybe the enemy trying to tamper with your work at this point in time. Maybe they're trying to get at you in terms of your career, your leadership, your provision, your responsibilities, your work. They're trying to get at you. That's what it can mean, right? But oftentimes they're trying to highlight those things to you, okay? So these things are all important aspects, those first 5, okay? And so I want you to recognize that there are so many different ways this works. But I want you to understand this is part 1. In part 2, we're going to be talking about going deeper, what doors can also represent in much more broader contexts, and get more deeper with it. But what I want you to take away from this as a teachable moment is recognize that having a door means opportunity, access. It can mean you know, that something is trying to touch your boundaries, etc. What you, whoever it is important, and how you respond is equally as important in a dream. Pay attention to that. Translate the behavior to real world behavior. If you are angry at the person coming the door, probably it's because you're angry at that person in general. Now, and that's it in general. There's times where you're not angry at you. You can have a different emotion in a dream than you would have in real life, right? So let's say you have person come to your door, you're angry in a dream about them coming to the door, but in real life, you're not so angry. It may be highlighting that there's underneath a hidden resentment that you have. It may also, let's say, for instance, you are not you're not comfortable with them coming in, but in real life, you're like, I'm comfortable with them. It may speak that your spirit is catching something. Your spirit is telling you that you're not comfortable spiritually. We're seeing something about this person. Be cautious. So we've got to be aware of those things. But look, my time is up. Okay, all right. You know, we appreciate everybody that's come through and just kind of shared their thoughts. Leave a comment down below if you've ever had a dream about, you know, the someone knocking at your door. I would love to know what they are, what you got from it, what you garnished from it. And hopefully we can be able to just kind of share some notes and just be able to really grow and develop as well in this space for you. I'm gonna leave you with this wonderful song that we've made with AI, and we'll be putting it up on our Patreon. So if you want to, it's on Patreon.
I await the promise.